Yes.
Over 15 years after the worst terrorist attacks in American history, 5 of the men accused of planning the assault still haven't faced trial, conviction, or execution. They're supposed to be judged by a military commission at Guantanamo Bay, Cuba, but that trial hasn't even begun. Many of the soldiers who now guard the 9/11 terrorists are too young to remember when the plane slammed into the World Trade Center. The accused 9/11 plotters have been tried in a federal court. They would be on death row as we speak, end quote. Military commissions prevent the current system from achieving justice or achieving due punishment in due time for terrorists. The past 2 decades serve as evidence that military commissions as they stand have not worked in the past and will not reproduce results in the future. It is for this reason that Theodore and I stand resolved that the United States federal government should substantially reform its foreign policies regarding international terrorism. Our first and only definition is on foreign policy. Dr. Charles Herman, who has served on the Council on Foreign Relations, the National Security Council, and the American Political Science Association, wrote the following, quote, "Foreign policy consists of the plans, goals, and actions of national governments directed at entities outside of the nation," end quote. Herman goes on to explain that it's difficult to capture the concept of foreign policy in a single definition, and that there are many possible definitions depending on the situation. Let's move on and examine the facts about military commissions. Fact 1 is established to try international terrorists. Established to try international terrorists. The Office of Military Commissions explains its own history. Quote, "After the terrorist attacks on September 11, 2001, military commissions were established to try certain individuals who are non-U.S. citizens who are or were engaged in acts of international terrorism that have caused injury to or adverse effects on the U.S., end quote. At the start, military commissions were distinct from federal courts in practices involving standards of evidence and treatment of detainees, but these practices were later declared unconstitutional. Reforms to military commissions in 2006 and 2009 to repair those practices resulted in military commissions becoming an objectively worse version of federal courts, which will be expanded upon in later points. Despite the original intent to be effective at punishing terrorists, military commissions have failed, as seen in Fact 2, opposed by experts. Fact 2 is opposed by experts. In May of 2018, the American Bar Association released a report compiled by 24 national security and legal professionals, including law professors, judges, and several former military officers. While these experts were diverse in their occupations and political views, the report concludes, quote, "All believe that whatever their original intent and design, the military commissions at Guantanamo are not working as intended. They should either be reformed or terminated in the interest of justice for the families of victims of terrorism," end quote. Robert Chesney, a professor of law at the University of Texas and counterterrorism expert, explains this criticism. Quote, "Relentless pressures over the past 16 years have led to so many revisions for the rules for the commissions that the procedural advantages they were designed to confer have largely disappeared," end quote. Because military commissions fundamentally don't work as advertised, they are counterproductive for the United States. That's why Theodore and I proposed the following plan. Mandate: military commissions will no longer be used to try international terrorists. Military commissions will no longer be used to try international terrorists. International terrorists will be tried in the federal courts, and cases involving international terrorists will be exclusively handled in federal courts. Section 1033 of the National Defense Authorization Act of fiscal year 2019 will be repealed to allow the United States to transfer terrorists from Guantanamo Bay. These steps prevent an inefficient and ineffective military commission that inhibits the United States from providing due punishment in due time to terrorists. Our agency and enforcement are Congress, the President, the judicial branch, and any other necessary bodies. Our timeline is 1 year after the passage of an affirmative ballot, and our funding is through normal budgetary means. Additionally, we reserve the right to clarify our plan in future speeches. Let's now examine the primary justification of using federal courts, which is the justification of upholding justice. Upholding justice. Federal courts punish terrorists for their crimes efficiently and effectively, while military commissions allow justice to stagnate. Let's divide this into 2 subpoints. Subpoint A is due time. Due time. Since 2001, 8 terrorists have been convicted under military commissions. During that same time period, over 660 have been convicted by federal courts. Robert Chesney explains, quote, "It is evidence of capacity and competence. When it comes to actually and fairly processing criminal cases, nothing compares to the combination of Justice Department prosecutors, federal public defenders, and the judges and staff of the Article III federal courts," end quote. Not only do federal courts convict more terrorists, but also they're faster. Huffington Post reported, quote, "We analyzed the length of time between crime and sentencing for more than 24 prominent alleged terrorists captured by the U.S. government over the past 2 decades. In every one of those cases, the federal court system took less time to convict the captured terrorists than the military commission system at Guantanamo has taken to even start trying the accused 9/11 plotters," end quote. I'd like to make this very clear. Efficiency on its own does nothing to uphold justice. However, not only are federal courts efficient by ensuring convictions in due time, but also they're effective by ensuring due punishment, another area in which military commissions are found lacking. Subpoint B is due punishment. Due punishment. Federal courts can draw authority from both U.S. criminal law and military law. In contrast, military commissions are restricted to trying terrorists under only military law. This is a pretty big deal because military commissions can only try terrorists under 32 different charges, while federal courts can use over 4,000 charges. And this has made a difference in the real world too. Osama bin Laden's longtime chauffeur, Salim Hamdan, was convicted by a military commission of material support for terrorism. He first received a mere 5-month sentence, but his conviction was then overturned because material support for terrorism was not a chargeable offense under military law. On the other hand, Ali Assad Shandia collaborated with the Pakistani extremists to mail equipment to his allies. Indicted in a federal court under the same charge as Hamdan, material support for terrorism, Shandia was sentenced to 15 years. If ensuring that international terrorists are convicted quickly and receive reasonable punishment is important, then look no further than the federal courts. Military commissions fail the standard of due punishment and due time. The reasons to pass our plan are simple. Federal courts are a tested and true system with a distinct advantage of efficiency and effectiveness, or due punishment in due time, while military commissions provide no distinct advantages and inhibit closure in terrorism cases. Our plan is necessary to address the flawed nature of the current system, convict the 9/11 conspirators that have been in limbo for over 17 years, and set precedent for future success. For all these reasons, we strongly urge an affirmative ballot.